goddess temple at Gaia Sagrada with Manuel, who has been here since
November.
As a work exchanger and was
Exactly.
recently promoted.
Yes.
To
as a assistant kitchen manager, which is amazing because I really love cooking, and now I have the chance to do it in this beautiful environment with those beautiful people.
Yeah.
For the purpose, for me, the main purpose of being here is for the ceremonies, for the healing that happens with Ayahuasca and San Pedro. Mostly with Ayahuasca for me, because I don't know why Ayahuasca is loving me.
Yeah.
Is wanting me to help her in some strange way. So I'm trying now to get through that message and those callings to understand what exactly she wants from me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So today we're going to be interviewing Manuel, seeing kind of how he came to work at Gaia Sagrada, what his experience has been with these awesome plant medicines, and what you hope to do in the future too, which is always a great question. So, Dad, tell me, where were you before Gaia? Had you done any other volunteering?
Yes.
Had you been here?
Yes.
What was your story of how you got here?
Yeah. I can start, let's say, in 2015, in the summer 2015, where I got in a place in my life where I was stuck, like really stuck with impossibility to find a work, problem with alcohol, bad relationship with women and things like this. And I was like, okay, this I have to hand. I have to find another way to live my life.
And how old were you at that time?
It was 2 years ago. I was 33.
Yeah.
32,
wow, that's
33.
exactly like me. I was 33 and it was 2015.
Oh, that's funny.
That's so cool.
That's so nice. I was kind of looking for a solution, something to change my life, something to go through life in another way. And one of my friends talked to me about his experience with ayahuasca in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And he said to me that it like flabbergasted him. It changed his life in a whole way. And like he's seen in a ceremony, he told me he's seen like his previous life going like as far as being a star, like in birth. God. I'm like, wow, he had the experience of being a star being born, that's crazy. And from there he knew that it was love all over his life, and that he has to find this in himself. And I was like, oh, whoa, that's strange, but I have to look for it because it's kind of calling me. So I started to do some research, and I decided to go with him in Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
Because he was going there to help a shaman, and he went there, and I decided to meet him there. And when I got there, finally he was promoted as the main person of the center, so he was leading the ceremonies and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got there, and the first time I went there, I did 2 retreats. Like 1 retreat, 1 week off, and another retreat. So 5 ceremonies.
And that was only ayahuasca there?
It was only ayahuasca. It was another recipe than the one we have here.
Really?
Here it's only the vine and the chacruna leaves. There they added some chaliponga leaves, which is another plant.
Okay.
Which contains also some 5-MeO-DMT.
Oh, it does?
Yes, and it's another. It's tricky. It's more. You have some visuals, but there's a body rush that is like very electricity style. It's very
cool.
It's strange, and I felt that the ceremonies there were more difficult for me. Okay. Maybe because it was the first ones. Maybe because of this compound. I don't know exactly, but it was something else.
Okay.
But it brings me at the same place, in myself. Ayahuasca. If I want to like be concise about what I learned during that first trip in Costa Rica, I would say that ayahuasca showed me that all through my life, despite all the transformation I've been through emotionally and everything, there's something that has never changed, never changed, untouched, and it's my heart, and it's wide open. She showed me as an egg of fire that I was holding in my hand, and she told me to cherish that thing. I asked her. she was showing me how I was as a baby during a ceremony, like what I was feeling as a baby, and feeling that I am my father and I am my mother, like I am them, not coming from them. I am them. You know, that was crazy. Feeling the smile of my father going through my face and the gaze of my mother through my eyes. I was like, wow, that was amazing. That was beautiful, but it was kind of bringing me closer to my parents. And after that, she showed me all my life, just the emotional transformation, like 5 years old, when I was 8, when I was 12, she showed me everything. And after that, I asked her, can you show me my future? And that's when she gave me this egg. I realized that months after that was the answer, you know, to the question about my future.
Was that you have this open heart?
This is the egg of love, and you have to cherish it and to share it with the world. And I'm like, wow. And from there, I found a job in a market in Montreal where I started to work with the public, which I never did before.
Wow.
And it kind of opened my personality a lot.
Okay.
And so I worked there, and I felt the call to go again to ayahuasca, so I went to the same place. And this time, I did only one retreat, but as a helper. With the same guy. I did only one ceremony, which was I was alone in the temple with my friend for that ceremony. That was crazy. And it was a strong dose. And my friend just told me, if you want to yell, if you want to just smash yourself on the walls, just do it, man. It's yours. So it was crazy.
Did you do that?
I yelled a lot, and I talked to myself and, you know, crazy shit, but I couldn't move. I was possessed by this huge, like, octopus, and I could not move. It was impossible for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And just at the end, like this animal just decided, because it came into me and taking control of my movement and everything. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And when the work was done, she just came out of me, and I just saw those eyes coming into me and like communicating without words. Just from now, your work is to be confident in everything you do. Is to like be confident in everything you are. All part of yourself is beautiful, is good. Just give it. Yeah. Give it to the world. Give it to the people. I'm still working on it, but I think I've done a pretty good work in those 2 years, getting out of this place where I was like very not moving and stuck and like in
and did you feel at that time just like that you didn't have a lot of confidence, or that you didn't want to share yourself? And
I was so in pain and so like I was sharing some you know, but most of the time I was like, I cannot go out with people because I feel so bad, and if they ask me how am I going, I will have to to lie or to say the truth, which is fucking, I don't want, it's not good. It sucks. So I don't want to share that truth, you know. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stay home and be by myself, and I was isolated and this kind of thing, you know. Yeah. And now it's I want to go to people and share and sing and, you know, cook for. I love it. It's cool. I'm a different. I would say, not a different person. Just like the social part of my personality just exploded. You know? Good. Yeah.
That's what I think. I resonate with that too, because when I first came back from my retreat here, and people said, and I said, you know, I feel like, it was hard to say I feel like a different person, because I didn't feel like a different person, which is what I originally thought, like I'm going to transform into like a totally different person. I'm going to talk different and this different and everything. And I was like, I just feel like more of myself, but like a greater version of who I already am. And that I had that confidence. That's what ayahuasca showed me too, is she's like, you just need to embrace more of yourself and be that, instead of trying to transform into someone else.
Because it's already there.
You know? Yeah, it's already there.
There's nothing to look outside yourself.
Right. And there's ways to, and maybe you'll kind of understand, this is a balance that I'm still learning, which is accepting yourself fully, but then also wanting to improve. Yeah. Right? Like those things can coexist somehow, where you're like, I have to accept everything right now. I have to, because otherwise I'm in hatred of myself. But I also want to like love more and be kinder and do these things, but without hating it, without saying like, I'm a piece of crap.
The best way to go somewhere better is to start where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to love where you are first, and after that you can go somewhere.
You have to. You really can't begin to get anywhere until you love yourself. Yeah. It's very true.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to understand, but I think that's what these medicines help with is the things that we consciously understand. Like maybe we read a quote or like listen to a teacher, but they don't quite get deeply into our heart to where we can fully live that way.
Yeah, because ayahuasca, for me, for example, it shows me how I can be my own teacher, and how like a lot of knowledge and wisdom and also ignorance inside myself can help me to grow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of helping me to listen more to what is already there, like hidden deep inside. But sometimes there's so many shit on it because we don't take care of ourselves, because we just allow ourselves to eat bad, or to listen to bad music or whatever.
Or listen to the opinions of others.
Exactly.
Too much.
Yeah. A lot of things can just bring us down. A lot of things, and I realized just going in. Here we are in nature, and it's beautiful. We hear the sounds of the fountain, and the birds and everything. When you go in the city, it's like, man, for me now, I go in the city, I'm like, in the afternoon I get a headache.
Yeah.
Each time, because the car, the smells, people are talking loud. It's so noisy insane. And so polluted. It's crazy.
So the
and
noises.
You feel it so strong,
Yeah, when you start to hear only noises that are made by man. Like when I was by the coast, and we were in Montanita, which is, like every 2 feet there's a different type of music playing, right? Like, and then there's something else, and then there's people talking, and you're like, I can't. So we only stayed there for a day or two, and then we went to Ayampe, which is like nature, quiet, beautiful, and just the difference of the noise. I was like, this was all man-made, and this is all nature, and how different you feel in that way. I'm like that too. There's things I can appreciate about a city, or like the culture, or the like the beauty of like human creation, but only for so long, like only for a little bit. And so so that kind of leads me to Gaia Sagrada. So how did you, after Costa Rica, after you went back there, how did you find out about Gaia Sagrada, and how did you come here?
Yeah, the thing is that so when I came back from Costa Rica the second time, which was in last March, I went back to the same market to do the same work, and which was okay. At one point I was getting tired because it's 50 hours a week, and for 6-7 months. So
was it a farmer's market, or what type of market was it?
Kind of, it's a lot of producers just come to this market to sell their things. So most of the stuff in the summer it's local, and it's in the season, so it's all fresh and beautiful, and it's nice. It's very nice. But I think in May or June, I just felt the call again to go to ayahuasca. But this time, my friend, which was leading a ceremony in Costa Rica, in between, he decided to leave that place and to come back to Quebec to work on the farm with his sister and his parents, to compose some music, because he's a musician. One of the songs that I sing in ceremonies, he's the one who wrote it.
Really?
Well, I sing it in most of the ceremonies. Cool. I sing it, and it's a kind of way for me to say thank you to his spirit,
right?
Because he taught me about ayahuasca. He brought me into this path, and I love this person so much. So it's like a way to say thank you. That's and cool. To bring his spirit into this my work, So so I was looking for. I wanted to go back to ayahuasca, but I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. So I just Googled, Google ayahuasca volunteering, and I looked at many places, and Gaia Sagrada was like the best offer ever.
Yeah.
Seriously, you come here, you don't have to pay, or you pay for a ceremony, and that's it, and good food. You have a bed.
Yeah.
Get to work with nice people, and getting to be a witness and like benevolent presence with people going through transformations and healing. So it's a lot of learning. Me, I've never been in so much learning. Every day I'm like, wow, everybody's a teacher for everybody.
I know.
And I love it so much.
I know.
It's so beautiful.
It is a place where you can learn more than anywhere else.
It's crazy.
You don't realize that until you leave, and you have these boring conversations, and you're like, wait, but we're not having all these deep conversations with 50 people every day.
Exactly. And you know, it's just nice to be. Well, I I decided to write to Christine and to see if I could come here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was too early before, you know. I was wanting. I think I wrote to her in July, and I wanted to plan for January, you know.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, well, you're a little bit too ahead, so we'll have to wait a little bit. And she said to me that she would prefer me to start in November, because she didn't want too many new people in January,
right, yeah.
you know. And so for me it was the perfect plan, because my job was finishing mid-November, so I could just have a week off, fly to here.
Yeah.
And after the first retreat, I went to Peru for a month.
Oh yeah.
That's what I did. So for me it was like, oh, okay, so there will be a part in my trip where I will be like going around.
Right.
And it was in Peru, and I really enjoyed it. It was
that's
beautiful.
so cool. Were you in
So
Cusco
nice.
or Lima, or where were you?
I went to a lot of places. You know, I started in Lima. After I went to Huacachina in the desert. There's an oasis there.
Whoa.
It's nice. And from there I went to Arequipa, which is down south. It's a beautiful, clean city. It's very nice. It's like a city. People are proud to be there. You know, it's a cultural city. You know, it was the city of this writer called Mario Vargas Llosa, and there's a library with his name there, and you know there's many shows going in the city, and it's beautiful. It's nice, and it's also surrounded by beautiful mountains and canyons and everything. So there's a lot of treks to do there. So I did one in the Colca Canyon, which was amazing.
Wow.
It's twice deeper than the Grand Canyon in California, in the States.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Twice deeper. It's crazy. From the Colca River to the highest point of one of the mountains, it was 3,000 meters. It's just crazy. It was so like gorgeous, and wow, that was amazing.
Wow, that's
and
cool.
From there I went to Cusco, where I met Joe, which was already there.
Oh, nice.
I spent a week with him going around the ruins around Cusco.
Cool.
And after that I flew from Cusco to Pucallpa in the jungle, and I took the boat from Pucallpa to Iquitos.
Oh, you did?
On the Ucayali River.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. That was very nice.
How was that being in the jungle?
It was nice. I didn't have a chance to like dive really in the jungle, because for me, if I want to go in the jungle, I have to go for a couple months.
I know.
You know, to really to be with people, learn a little bit of their language, of their culture, and know what's going on there. You know, not just going doing
like
one
a day
afternoon
hike or
trek. You know,
yeah.
I don't want to do that. So I went to Iquitos. I stayed in the city most of the time.
Okay.
And,
what was it like there with all the ayahuasca tourism and everything in Iquitos?
Well, if you're not looking for it, you it's not overwhelming, you know.
Oh, that's good
but
to know.
If you're looking for ayahuasca, you'll find it for sure. But it's not like all over the place. For me, I didn't feel like it was like the only attraction in Iquitos. There's some markets. There's a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
For sure, it's one of the thing, you know, that people that brings the tourists there. But for me, you know, I like to go in a city and just stay there to see how people live, even if there's nothing to do.
Yeah, I do too.
I like it. So I was on the boat from Pucallpa to Iquitos. I met a guy, and this guy had some houses in Iquitos, and he rented me a room.
Oh, nice.
Which was outside of the center of the city, and there's nothing to do there.
Wow.
There's just people living there, and
children
running in the street and playing soccer, and you know, tuk running all over, and I was there. I was enjoying, because you know I could see how people live and the vibe of the city, even if it's polluted and everything. It's just I was there, and I loved it. Yeah.
That's the best part of traveling. Just getting to see how people live.
Exactly.
Yeah, without judgment. And the more you travel, the more you don't try to find like the perfect place or this type. You just can watch places exist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and
nice.
You know, traveling is always a lesson to just see that there's many different ways to live, and your own way, your own like thinking is not the only one. It's not the only good one. Maybe it's a bad one because you learn from other people. So it's just a way to see the differences and to see how you are small, even if you think that you are everything. You know,
gosh,
we're so small in this world.
Yeah,
you know,
and our rights and our wrongs and our certain way of doing things. We were talking about this with some people here last night about how in Ecuador there seems to be, and this is a lot of Latin American countries that I've been to, that there really isn't such a thing as a line, right? So if you're waiting for a coffee or if you're at somewhere, so we were in a bus station, people just, it's like who can walk up first. Yeah. So some people will be in a line, but then other times, and I mean, I hate to admit this, but a lot of times it's men, right? Will just like cut right in front of you and start talking to the people. And so I was at a bus station yesterday in Guayaquil, and I just had it with that. Had been traveling a lot, and I'd been waiting there, and I was looking at the menu and seeing what I wanted, and then they said, you know, Sige, like next person, and this guy just tries to he basically ran into me. You know, he just kind of walked up from behind me. He hadn't been there. And I just stood in front of him and I was like, no! I know you understand this. This is not fair. But you know, in my head, you think like, wow, you would think that it would be just this natural instinct to create a line and like who gets there first. It's not. Not at all. In Mexico, it's like that too. It's just like, oh, who can kind of scrumble to the front? Yeah. And that's what you learn with traveling is you think like, this is my way of doing it. And this is the natural. Right way. It's natural. And it's not. Yeah, like people get in line. It's natural, right? You're like, no, you learn that. Yeah. You learned that in school. You learn that in your country. And it's funny when you think the ones that you have are correct and the ones that other cultures have. But again, then there's other things that they do where you're like, I know, like, I love the way that Latin American people let their children, they're like so much more free. Oh yeah. You know, like they're just like, oh, as long as they're safe, they're just kind of running around and they just let them live their lives.
The same thing in Asia.
Yeah. In the United States, I mean, if a kid goes more than 2 feet, get over here, don't do that, don't touch that, like constantly reprimanding
almost
them.
Getting your children on a leash or something like this.
Yeah, and because of that, it seems like the kids just kind of take care of themselves and they're free. And then if they're doing something dangerous, but the parents don't pay tons of attention to the kids as long as they're just in their general vicinity. That one's it's cool because the kids just like are living their lives.
They get their independence even faster. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah. So something I want to ask you is if someone was considering coming here to Gaia Sagrada to volunteer, but a lot of people who come here have never sat with the medicines before. They haven't been at a place like this. Like, what would be your recommendation for them, or what advice would you give someone who's coming to work here?
You mean mostly for working with the medicine or for working with
like the work exchangers?
Okay. Oh boy.
I know. Like, kind of describe what it's like to work here.
Well, there's a lot of things to do. For me, when I arrived here first, I was like, oh, we have 75 hours to do. I have to find work myself, and everything. I was like, oh, that's gonna be difficult. It's not. It's so easy because the land is big, right? And there's a lot of things to do. And if you just stay aware of what's going on around you, you're gonna find work to do easily. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like work. That's the thing, because most of the time we work in teams. Right. And you can talk with the person, and you learn with the person, and it's. The land is so beautiful, it's so calm. Doing a couple hours a day, it's easy. Well, for me, it's very easy. I was used to work 10 hours a day, so for me, working 5 hours a day, it's like, it's not working. It's not working. So it doesn't feel like working. And there's, for me, the beautiful part, and the main reason why I'm here is to work with the ayahuasca during the ceremonies. Right. So for me, for example, we here in Gaia Sagrada have some helpers, and we do the draw to know who's gonna be the helper. Me, I'm happy to be a helper. If I'm not picked to be a helper, I'll be there anyway.
That's what I do too.
I'll be there anyway because it's so nice, Yeah. And once you get to know the ayahuasca vibe, you don't have to drink to feel it. Not at all. When you're in a ceremony, everybody's drinking around you, and you just feel the boat is going on this storm, or maybe sometimes it's so calm, but sometimes it's pretty wild. And those wild ceremonies, they're the one where the biggest healing happens. Right. Sometimes it's like, wow, that was crazy, but the person get out of there and they're like, wow, that was like so transforming.
It always is.
And I learned so much about myself. Sometimes it's only like going through those difficulty and everything, you just learn how much you are already strong.
Exactly.
It's crazy. When I was in the Sweat Lodge last retreat, the third round, for me, the two first round, drinking the San Pedro, I didn't feel much, I just felt the connection with everybody. It was nice, but I didn't feel any teaching coming from San Pedro. Maybe it was diluted with water or anything. For me, yet, I've never received a teaching from San Pedro. Wow. I drank once.
Okay.
So it's, but the ayahuasca shot I had in the San Pedro, in the Sweat Lodge, wow, my God, that was crazy. And the only thing I could do is lie on the floor and wait, because I was not able to eat. I remember Salvador wanted me to sing something. I was like, there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry. But I was in that difficult place, having those strong visions of a snake, serpent, labyrinth around me, surrounding me, and coming to look at me, and just going with many heads. I was like, and I was asking for help. I was saying, okay, I've heard people saying when they ask you to help them, you send them some spirits or some guides or some guardians or anything. It's time now. Send them to me. I want to learn from them. I need help.
Yeah.
Nothing came. And I'm like, what's the lesson behind it? Is that you're strong enough to do it by yourself. You don't need that help.
Wow.
That you're asking for help, you don't need it. So just acknowledge your own strength.
Yeah.
Your own power. And I'm like, wow. And when I got out of it, I'm like, okay, let's go. Bring anything, man. I'm ready. I'm ready for anything,
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like pushing you to this limit where you think you need help. You think you're not gonna be able to do it. You think you're not gonna be able to come back from it or anything. And when you get back from it, you're like, wow, I was wrong when I was there.
Yeah.
And now I know that I'm stronger than I thought. And
that's one of the biggest lessons.
And you kind of have a grip on what you are, which is way stronger now. Way stronger.
I feel that way completely. And emotionally, I feel like I can deal with anything now. In a way that there was no way I could before. But that's something that we learn here, right? Is that a lot of times we when we have a lot of trauma, or we feel out of control of our lives, or we feel stuck, it's because we don't want to acknowledge our power to change it. We don't want to acknowledge that we have the ability to create our own lives. That would be too scary. It's so much easier to stay small and say, this circumstance did this parents did this, and I am just a victim of all of these circumstances, and my life is shitty, and I'm in the wrong city. But when these plants show you your strength, you have to make the decision to say, oh, great, well, now I have this strength, so that means that I have control of my own life. And I have control of how to live in the right way. I have to make decisions, and those decisions will mean something for my future, and
it's huge. I'm responsible for my life.
Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Huge.
So what do you see right now now that you've seen your future heart, what do you see what do you see in your future on this path? Do you feel that you're on this medicine path?
For me, each time I plan my future, it's like something else is happening to make it different. But for now, I would say that I'm starting here as a assistant kitchen manager. I'm doing more and more fire keeping too, which is great. And so I'm in a position of just, okay, I will learn what I have to learn to do this job well, to do it like the best I can, and we'll see after. For sure, I will stay here till May.
Okay.
Because after that, I don't have the money to wander around during the break after, and to come back and everything. It would be like a lot of paper for the visa and everything. So I decided, okay, I'll stay till May. Go back to Montreal after. There, when I go back to Montreal, I can go back to this market. I don't think I would work as much as I was doing in those 2 last year, like 50 hours a week, maybe 30 hours a week.
I feel good about 30 hours a week of work.
Sounds good. And it's a great job, working with vegetables, plants, and people, it's very nice. You're selling like health.
Yeah.
I love that. It's beautiful. And so I can go there. By working there, I was also I had the chance to meet some chef in Montreal.
Oh, cool.
So Maybe I can go see one of those and work in their restaurant or something.
Right.
I'm getting some experience here, so I can use it as and I also love music. I can sing in ceremonies here.
Are there ceremonies being done in Montreal that you know of?
I know there is some, but I never met the people who organize them.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
But I know I think so. But I know there's 2 groups at least that are doing some. Yeah.
Cool. It's amazing when you go back how much those doors open up to you. It's getting, I mean, ayahuasca's making her way around the world in such a huge way.
Oh, yeah.
Way more than a few years ago.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable the difference between when I first came back in 2015 from here, and I would tell some people, they would say, Iowa, what no, almost no one. Maybe a few people said, oh, I saw a YouTube once about that. Now, all I have to say to someone is, oh, I work in Ecuador part-time of the year with plant medicine, and they go, ayahuasca? Like, people just know, like, the growth and the expansion is incredible.
There's a lot of, like, very big newspaper in the States and all over the place who write articles about it.
Right.
You know, the Times and everything. And
so
people, they just, if people are curious and read the newspaper, they will pop on an article, you know, where, oh, ayahuasca, oh, what is that? And they will hear somebody talking about it. Oh, so most of the people now, they know. Yeah. You know, a lot of people yet. I know in Montreal, when I say, oh, I was in Costa Rica. Oh, what did you do there? Oh, I did some ayahuasca ceremony. I'm like, what are you talking about? A lot of people still like this. But now ayahuasca, is that the shamanic brew? Yeah, okay. Now they, you know, and they some are curious. They want to know more about it. Some it's not calling them, and it's good like this, you know.
Exactly.
It's good like this because there's not only one way to become a better person or to learn about yourself. You know, psychoanalysis can be one, art can be one, yoga is one. You know, there's so many things, and for me, it's for everybody to find its own path of learning and of growing, you know. It's and ayahuasca for me
it's true. I don't think ayahuasca is definitely for everyone. I used to think that, but I was talking with a good friend of mine who was a guest here last retreat, and she was kind of saying that, you know, that when you first come here, you're like, oh, I want to do all of the ceremonies and the extra ones and this and that, but you know, it's not for me. It's because it's such a strong brew, and like you can not only learn so many lessons while you're in it, but like the integration takes weeks, months, sometimes years later for the lessons to really show up in your life. That it isn't along the same lines as, let's say, like, you know, mushrooms or some of the like a little bit lighter psychedelics that maybe you could have more like 3-4 times a year or something like that. I have done ayahuasca in almost 2 years, and now finally this retreat I'm getting back into it. So I just felt the calling, and I felt like it's the right time. So I definitely would never tell anyone like everyone needs to do this, it will change your life. Is like, you will feel a calling. That's what, when anyone asks me like, should I do it, I'm like, do you feel called to do it? You know. And when you feel called, it's like you just become, it's like you just know it. Because I would watch all the videos, and I would kind of like, I was very interested in researching ayahuasca for a long time, and like watching like DMT, the spirit molecule, and all these things, and then none of it ever felt connected to me. It was just like, this is a very interesting thing. And then just one night, and I was in New York, and I was feeling that way. Like, she came to me and said, "It's your turn. It's your turn to do this." And I was scared out of my mind because I was like, "Oh no, those are just YouTube videos I watch. I'm not going anywhere. Like, what do you mean?" And I thought at that time, you know, you have to have this crazy childhood, or have been, you know, I felt I didn't have enough trauma or enough.
That's funny.
But meanwhile, you know, my life was, I was judgmental, I was depressed, I didn't know what I was doing. So like, it was pretty bad, you know, I definitely was not living my full expression of myself. So I think that's advice that I would give to people is like, it's two-way street. You don't have to wait until you think you have this like the most traumatic life in order to do ayahuasca. But also, you know, wait till it's a calling, and I wouldn't do it because it's trendy or because, a friend told me and I should go. And those don't turn out right. I've seen it happen here where someone either brings a spouse or a friend just to come with them. Not the best idea. Yeah, you gotta be ready.
Of course, the relation with ayahuasca is like, it's something, it for me it becomes more and more sacred, but I realize that from the very moment of the call, like when this friend talked to me about it, that was the calling, and it's a sacred path, you know. So there's only like you're the only person who can know if it's the good thing for you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I
And
totally agree.
I never say to anybody, I never said like you should try it. For me, it's like, oh, you want to know about it? I will share my experience for sure, but you will know if it's for you or not.
Wow.
I will not. I'm. You know, it's intrusive for me to be like, oh, you should try this.
Yeah, it is.
No, you should find by yourself. If you listen to inside yourself, you will find something that's calling you, for sure. Because we're all called to something.
I know.
And to become better and to become, for me, like what I've seen in my ayahuasca ceremonies, is that deep inside, everybody is love, and it's so difficult to get there because there's so much layer of pain and of hate and of many things that we have to go through to find this. But I really have the belief that if everybody is able to dig deep inside itself, you know, the only thing we can find is love.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the life force. It is the force.
That's ayahuasca never fail in a ceremony. Ayahuasca never fail for me to remind me that the only answer is love. Only answer. There's nothing else.
Well, that's a great place to end the interview.
Yeah.
You guys have all the answers now. Well, thank you, Manuel, for sitting down with me. Your story is so awesome, and I can't wait to hear where this path takes us.
Yeah.
It is such a fun, interesting... The longer I stay on this, the shorter my view of the future gets, but the more confident I am in that. You know, I just take the next step, and it's like the next little drop of information of where to go and what to do, and it's like, it's okay. That's fine. I don't even know why at first I came back here. It was just said, like, you need to go back. I was like, okay, I'm back.
You probably learn soon.
I know.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.